Welcome to the Warrior in Progress podcast. This podcast features honest and vulnerable discussions about how to make lasting mindset shifts. Through these mindset shifts, you'll be able to commit to yourself and stop sabotaging yourself so you can transform your life. I'm your host, Jennifer McKee, certified health coach and motivational speaker. Look, I've been there. I've done that. I've lost over 50% of my body weight naturally. That's 185 pounds. I invite you to subscribe to the Warrior in Progress podcast for motivational, inspirational, and thought-provoking topics where I'll share with you some practical tools that I've learned on my journey so far that will empower you and help you to access that inner warrior that's inside each and every one of us. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Warrior in Progress podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer McKee. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is why won't things go my way? I laugh because I think this often. Why won't things go my way? I just want them to go like this, but they don't. And so often when things don't go our way, what do? We are trying to control, right? Try to control people, places, things, situations, because we want a certain outcome. Okay, so we're trying to control other things outside of ourselves, right? Outside of our hula hoop, so to speak, because we want a certain outcome, right? Why else would we do that? We want a particular outcome. So often we force unrealistic ideas instead of accepting reality. You know, we can resist and resist and resist. And no. That's not the way it is. This is the way it is. I was a queen of doing this. I was the queen of resisting reality. I did not want to accept reality because if I accepted reality, that meant I had to actually take responsibility. Oh, who wants to do that? I certainly didn't want to do that. I didn't want to take responsibility for the things that I needed to work on in myself. It was a lot easier for me to blame things outside of myself. Well, it's because he did this, she said this. Oh, well, that didn't happen. My company did this, that did that. My parents did this. It's everyone else's fault but mine. Okay. So like I didn't have to take responsibility. You know, so I needed to learn that things are not going to change until I take responsibility for myself. But before I go into that, I want to talk about how often we force our beliefs on other people. Now, I'm still working on this. I am still working on this because what's common to us might not be common sense to other people. Like a lot of times I'll say to myself, like if I'm driving and someone doesn't use their turn signal or, you know, somebody, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, like when you have a green light to turn left, you're supposed to pull out into the intersection. Well, when I get behind somebody who doesn't pull into the intersection and then the light turns red, then nobody gets to turn left. You know, I get a little irritated sometimes depending on where my state of mind is. And I think to myself, it's common sense. You know, this is a law. This is a driving law. You don't know how to do this, right? My ego gets all up in there, you know, and then I allow that to get me upset. So often I think what's common sense to me must be common sense to other people, you know, but what I've come to realize is that what's common sense to me might not be common sense to somebody else because I am seeing the world through my own set of glasses based on my previous life experiences and what I was taught as a child, right? Well, everybody was taught different things and everybody has had different experiences. So it's very kind of egotistical of me to say, oh, well, everybody needs to see things through my lenses, you know, because I'm right. And this is the way it should be, you know. One other thing that helped me with this was looking at it like 2 + 2 is 4, but 3 + 1 is 4 as well. So who's to say that my way is the only way? It might be a more efficient way. It may be, an easier way, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People can do things the way that they want to do them. I don't have to force anybody to do that. So when things are not going our way. Often we try to control, just recapping, you know, we try to control those things outside of ourselves because we want a particular outcome. We force unrealistic ideas, like what we expect to happen. You know, like if I am eating healthy 1 week and exercising, if I expect to lose 10 pounds in a week, that's not very realistic. You know, so we kind of force these unrealistic expectations or form these unrealistic expectations or ideas. The other thing we often do is force our beliefs on other people instead of being tolerant and having compassion and understanding, and also just humbly saying, hey, I don't know everything. And just because I do something a certain way doesn't mean everybody else has to do things in the way that I do. The other thing that we often do, especially when things are not going our way, is we compare ourselves to others. We compare ourselves to others and we have unrealistic expectations, which I've already mentioned that a little bit. But you know, how often have you said, well, so-and-so is further along in their journey than I am, and so-and-so has lost weight, and so-and-so accomplished this goal, and so-and-so accomplished that goal. We start beating ourselves up. We start beating ourselves up because we think that we should also have that success, or we should be where that person is. But the thing is that we don't know what that other person is doing or not doing. You know, how do we expect to see the same results as somebody else when, especially if it's weight loss related, because like our bodies are completely different. It's like comparing apples to oranges. But number two, we don't know what that other person is doing. Maybe that other person is really buckled down on their nutrition, drinking a gallon of water a day and exercising 5 days a week. And maybe we're not doing any of those things. So if we're not doing those things, how do we expect to see results? You know, maybe we are continuously self-sabotaging ourselves. Well, that person isn't. If they're seeing results, you know, chances are they're not self-sabotaging themselves, or they're not sabotaging themselves. But the other thing I want to point out there is, if we tell ourselves that this other person is not having any struggles, that is a lie. Everyone has struggles. Everyone has struggles. The question is, are you going to use these tools that you've been learning, hopefully learning, or listening in my podcast, or if you've had coaching or something like that, are you going to use the tools that you are learning? Because different tools work for different people. We have to find out what works for us. Okay. Are you going to take action? That's what it's about. So-and-so is not seeing results from not taking action. She or he is definitely taking action. So am I taking action? I would say use that as an opportunity to look at yourself. I want to read a quote to you because I love this quote, and it really goes hand in hand with comparing yourself to others. Okay, so here's the quote. No longer am I seeking perfection. The only thing that matters is the direction that I'm moving. Okay, so I'm no longer seeking perfection. The only thing that matters is the direction that I am moving. So I often talk about how transformation is not linear. It's like this roller coaster, right? It's this roller coaster. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. But when you have those downs or slips or whatever you want to call them, it's so important to, number one, learn from them. You know, to learn from them so you can, you know, become a better version of yourself and grow and evolve. But the other thing is to remember how far that you've come. I have this picture of myself right here, which, you know, you might be able to see on the Zoom. Sorry, it might be a little blurry. I'm holding it up in the video, but, you know, that's where I came from. Okay. That's where I came from, 358 pounds. And yes, I have gained a little bit of my weight back, but I have to look at this and say, look, this is where you came from, Jennifer. And I have to say that I have a lot of respect and love for the person in this picture right here of me at 358, because she was the one who felt completely stuck, completely worthless, not good enough, couldn't reach her goals, etc. But what she did do is she reached out for help and she started taking action. even the small actions, taking a multivitamin every day, that's so easy, drinking 8 cups of water a day. She started taking small actions, and not just the nutrition and exercise part, but really working on the mindset part to rebuild her relationship with herself and love herself. That's what this person did. And it took a long time, okay, for her to be able to take those actions, but she did, and she was consistent and she was committed, even though she messed up all the time. Okay, messed up all the time. But she refused to give up. She refused to give up. And I love this person, even though she's 358 pounds and she's she's in a lot of pain. She's in a lot of pain. I love her because it was her who got me to where I am today. So why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because I think it's important for you to not compare yourself to other people, but to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, or who you were a couple months ago or a few years ago, or whatever the case may be, because it's very hard for us to see progress when we're comparing ourselves to somebody else and we have no idea what they're doing or what's going on with them emotionally and mentally and what work they're doing. We don't know. And they haven't been through the same stuff we've been through. So why would we compare ourselves and our journey to their journey? It's like apples and oranges. Compare yourself. I invite you to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, or who, like I said, who you were a couple months ago, a couple years ago. The other thing is accept and surrender. Accept and surrender to reality, to what's happened or what's happening or what happened in the past, the reality. Okay? Accept, surrender, trust that the universe has your back. That may be really hard to trust. Because in order to trust that, we have to let go of control. And that can be a scary thing. But guess what? We might have to let go of control the stuff outside of ourselves. We can't control anything outside of ourselves. And we certainly cannot control outcomes. All we can do is do the work. All we can do is do the work, focus on what we can control, put in the effort, put in the work, and then trust that it will catch up with us and that the universe has our back. Looking back on life, if I look back on my life, I can see situations that were very, very difficult for me, but I made it through. I made it through, and sometimes I had to get help for that, but I made it through, and I am stronger and I'm more resilient. This picture of myself, she was a really strong woman, but I'm even stronger now because of her. So I have a lot of gratitude for her, even at 358 pounds. I have a lot of gratitude for her and where I came from. Because if it wasn't for her, I would never be where I am right now. When we look at life, that, the universe has our back, and trusting that, and we look back and see that we've made it through everything so far in our life. And I didn't say it was easy, okay? I did not say it was easy. I did not say it was going to be painless, but you have a choice, okay? You can look at life as a victim, like life's happening to me. Why does this always happen to me? Nothing ever goes my way. I'm never successful. I'm never this, that all or nothing thinking. It's always like that. It's never like this, etc. You can look at life like that, okay? Or you can look at life as you are a warrior, my friend. You are a warrior. Learn from your experience. Take responsibility for your part. Let go of any emotions that you have, feel the emotions and then let them go. And by the way, if you need professional help to do this, I highly recommend you seek that out. But you have a choice in how you look at life. And I looked at life as from a point of view of a victim for a many, 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 many years, for most of my life, as a matter of fact. And I can tell you, for me, my life is a lot better when I make the conscious choice to look at life from a warrior perspective and trusting the universe and trusting that the universe doesn't put anything in my path that I can't handle, even though it may be hard and even though it may be painful. I have tools and I have tools and I have support, and there's people that I can reach out to. If you don't have support, if you do not have tools to use, I highly recommend that you reach out for help to get those things. You deserve it. But I know that you can do this. But so often when we, stay in that victim mentality, we can build a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. And that can keep us stuck. That can keep us very stuck. So I encourage you to accept reality and surrender and to trust. Trust the universe, trust your higher power. But the other thing is to, so often we say, like, why aren't things going my way? If you were to look honestly at your life, I'm sure that you would see that there are some things that are going your way, and that the things that are not going your way are because you have unrealistic expectations. You might not know everything you need to know about how to achieve something. Maybe you're not putting in the work or fully putting in the work. You're just kind of half-assing it. I did that for a long time too. You're trying to control these things that are totally outside of yourself. You're trying to control an outcome instead of focusing on what you can control. Focus on you. Compare yourself to you. That is one of the biggest keys to becoming successful and to transforming your life. So the call to action is to write down one thing that maybe you're not accepting about your life that is negatively impacting your life, or negatively impacting how you feel about yourself or maybe others, or about how you're living your life. Whatever it is, I want you to think about one thing that you're not accepting. Maybe, I'll give you some examples with me that I wasn't accepting. I wasn't accepting that I couldn't control myself around certain foods. I wasn't accepting that I needed an accountability partner. I wasn't accepting that I couldn't do this on my own. That I needed help. Those are some of the things I was not accepting. And I kept trying to do the same thing, and I kept getting the same results. And then I blamed everybody else, right? Remember one of my favorite Tony Robbins quotes: if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. That was a story of my life. I kept trying to do everything myself instead of reaching out for help. That did not work for me. So I would encourage you to think about one thing that you're not accepting that's negatively impacting your life. And then number two is write down. And again, you're writing all this stuff down, not keeping it up here, right, in your head. So how is that impacting your life in a negative way? Like, I want you to really get clear on that. How's it making you feel? How's it keeping you stuck? I encourage you to journal about that. Number three, what have you tried to control? What are you trying to control? Did it work? Number four, what is one thing that you could do today, right now, to improve the situation? But remember, it has to be something in your control. We can't make anybody else do anything. We can't control anything outside of ourselves. So what is one thing you can do today to improve the situation? So let me ask you a question. Are you ready to accept and surrender to reality? Are you ready to stop resisting reality? Are you ready to keep climbing up that transformation mountain? Because remember, I said it's a freaking mountain, dude. It's a it's a tall mountain, okay? And personally, I don't think we ever reach the top. I think it's a journey from now until the day we die. But as you keep climbing up that transformation mountain, you're going to get stronger. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, and you're going to become a better version of yourself. One day at a time, though, one day at a time. Focus on today because it's way more manageable to focus on the next meal, or, the next hour or today or whatever than it is to focus on the whole week or the next month or etc. So I encourage you to keep climbing up that mountain. Don't give up. Reach out for support and help. We all need it. There's no shame in that. It just means you're a human being. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. We can't do everything on our own. We really, really can't. And I'm just so grateful to have you here, to have you listening to this podcast. I really hope that this helped you maybe think about some things about why things aren't going your way. Maybe I've given you some things that you can think about and can start working on. I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast episode. I hope everyone has a great day. I'll talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this episode of the Warrior in Progress podcast, then please share it with your friends, share it with everybody. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast as well so you can get notifications on when I release new episodes. Meanwhile, you can follow me on social media. On Facebook, my handle is fullycommitted13, and on Instagram, my handle is fully_committed13. You can find out more about my work at mckeehealth.com. That's MCKEEHEALTH.com. And make sure to download my free Tame Your Inner Critic guide at mckeehealth.com, and you can learn how to stop beating yourself up, how to stop sabotaging yourself so that you can achieve your goals. Remember, you're a warrior in progress, and you can do anything you set your mind to.